speaking of libertarians, on the sidelines of the Libertarian Party convention this last weekend here in Washington, D.C. Dave Smith talked a little bit about it on Breaking Points yesterday, but on the sidelines, Tim Pool interviewed Donald Trump and asked him about Julian Assange. Now, viewers will remember we had Gabriel Shipton, Julian Assange's brother, on the show last week, and he fleshed out a bit about how the Assange case is becoming a real wedge issue in geopolitical negotiations between the United States and Australia, which is an important alliance if the U.S. is to be worried about Taiwan and what people see as the China threat. So all that is to say, Donald Trump's comments to Tim Pool are pretty interesting, and I think of some real consequence. Here's what Donald Trump told Tim Pool about whether or not he would pardon Julian Assange.
Will you pardon Julian Assange?
Well, I'm going to talk about that today, and we're going to give it very serious consideration. And we're going to have a couple of other things to say in the speech that I think you're going to love.
I've heard some rumors.
And you've gotten so much out of me, I should leave a little bit for the speech, don't you think?
Mr. President, it is an honor and a privilege. I really do appreciate you sitting down with me.
And you're very respected, I have to say. When I did a little research, and some of my guys said, and I've met you before, but they said just a very respected guy. It's my honor.
Tim Pool also relayed to Donald Trump that he recently said he had a nice face.
That Tim Pool has a nice face?
Yeah, that he said that Donald Trump said that to Tim Pool, that he has a nice face.
Does he have a nice face?
I don't know.
It's a face.
I think all faces are nice.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Now, to unpack Trump's thoughts on Assange and also Edward Snowden, he was asked about this also by Candace Owens, and see if you can almost kind of see the trembling in his voice as he talks about this. Like, it's like the deep state is really in his head. Here's this back and forth he had with Candace Owens.
A name that comes to mind in the news recently is Julian Assange. You know, he was exposing this corruption early on. He's had his life ruined because of it. It's a really sad story. Edward Snowden, I mean, think about that bravery. For me, I was quite young when that was going on. But I mean, the idea of saying, hey, whistleblowing, actually, we've got some corruption going on. They're not being honest with the American people. You could have had a chance to pardon these individuals. Why decide not to in that moment?
You have two sides of it. In one case, you have like sort of a spy deal going on. And in another case, you have somebody that's exposing real corruption.
Right.
I feel a little bit, I won't say which one, but I feel a little bit more strongly about one than the other.
Right.
And you probably understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But I could have done it, but I will say you have people on both sides of that issue, good people on both sides, and you have some bad people on one side. But I decided to let that one ride, let the courts work it out.
I love that one of the biggest controversies of his presidency was the good people on both sides moment, which I still take issue with a lot of the reporting on that. And he's just still going with it. Very good people on both sides, totally unfazed. But you did see him get a little phased in that, not to be a hacky cable news body language expert, but you really don't see Donald Trump like cross his arms and get uncomfortable like that very often. But you're right, Ryan, I think to read discomfort into that question with Candace Owens.
And which one is he talking about here? So it seems like Snowden.
I don't think he knows what he's talking about. Like I think he's just talking.
It sounded like, to me it sounded like he was not thinking about commuting or pardoning Snowden.
Yeah.
Who is in exile in Russia. And because he said this thing about, wow, there's secrets, and if you're going to have a country, you've got to be able to keep your secrets, and which is really the fascinating thing that people should absorb. Because if Donald Trump is like okay with the things that the NSA was doing, and that Snowden exposed, and he thinks it's wrong for Snowden to expose those, that really cuts against this whole idea that Trump is
deep state
actually going to do anything to take on the military intelligence establishment.
Which I think is a debate we should have on the Friday show this summer. Is Donald Trump the guy to actually...
we should do that.
Because it's a fascinating question. I asked one of his NSAs, Keith Kellogg, about how he saw Assange. And this was a couple of years ago. And Keith Kellogg told me that he felt like Donald Trump saw a little bit of himself in Assange. And that, from an NSA in a very torn administration, a John Bolton, Mike Pompeo administration, the administration that actually ended up bringing charges against Assange. I just find that super interesting, that he would even go so far as to say that from a Republican president, let alone a Republican president, again, like staffed by the likes of John Bolton and Mike Pompeo. Genuinely interesting. And I don't know that Trump would necessarily go through with this. Biden has talked about whether he would maybe just drop the case, and that's all it would take, by the way, just drop the case, and there may be some geopolitical advantage to assuaging the concerns of people in Australia and internationally, especially at a time when the United States is under fire internationally. We're talking about potential Security Council veto coming up, so there may be some advantage to Biden politically in dropping the case. I could see Donald Trump actually dropping the case because you see the duality of Donald Trump every once in a while. He knows that he's been targeted by the same people who targeted Snowden and Assange. But at the same time, he revels in the respect. You know, he filled his cabinet initially and he staffed his cabinet initially with military people. It's just, he's never picked a lane.
Yeah, right. And Obama initially contemplated charging Assange, decided not to because it would be an encroachment on freedom of the press.
Right.
Trump, urged by Pompeo, did so. Biden has continued it and is pushing to have him extradited. Now both of them are saying they're thinking about dropping the charges. It's kind of a ridiculous situation. You know, both of them probably too cowardly to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a question you'd love to have Trump talk about in private, because I don't know if he's Team Pompeo or if he's Team Assange. I really don't know. I'm honestly curious, and I wonder.
Good people on both sides.
Yeah, well, exactly. I wonder if he is himself split on that. I wonder if Obama himself, like how he thinks about it now. I think he's still probably very anti-Assange, but it's the case is so absurd that I think it presents some real questions for these leaders to grapple with, especially if you're Donald Trump and you came in to clean house.
And then he also, at the Libertarian Convention, said he would commute the sentence of Ross Ulbricht,
yes,
who is a cause célèbre on the Libertarian. In the Libertarian world he was a Silk Road founder.
Yep.
I know there was a lot of pressure on him from people close to him while he was president, and there was hope that he would do that then. He never did it. Does Ross, it does seem like he should, like it seems like Ross got the book thrown at him for the same thing that like a lot of websites do, like they have illegal activity on them. He was probably a little bit more okay with it than others. But is that a cause on the right beyond the libertarian movement?
No,
it's just the libertarians?
I think Trump has the power to elevate it beyond libertarians, but it's such a, I think it is genuinely a more complicated case than the Assange one is. Like it's a little bit less clear-cut than the Assange one.
There's some weird stuff.
The trumped-up hacking stuff with Assange is just so blatant.
It's not a free press thing, really. It's just a more like Justice Department overreach.
And Thomas Massey has said that it's the greatest affront to the Eighth Amendment that he's aware of, basically. So, like, I think there is a pretty...
The Ross case?
Yeah, the Ulbricht case. And I think there's a pretty big... There are huge glaring questions about the length of the sentence. I think we're talking... It's like a... I mean, he has a crazy,
life
crazy
without parole.
sentence. Yeah. Which I think he's 40 years old around there, and this all happened.
He's 40 now. Yeah.
It's just, it is genuinely ridiculous, and some of the charges I think are ridiculous too. But it's just more complicated than the Assange one. So if Donald Trump really takes it up, I was actually surprised he even dropped it at the Libertarian Convention, just because I actually think if you explained it to Donald Trump, he would be like, I feel like someone just wrote that into the speech. But, who knows? I think he was, in the Candace Owens interview, sort of talking to avoid the question a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I'd take what he said super seriously, but I could see him potentially pardoning Assange if he felt like he was getting a good deal with Australia. I don't think he has a strong sort of neoconservative position like Pompeo does on Assange. I think he could be persuaded to sort of use it as a bargaining chip in a way that a lot of Republican presidents, Nikki Haley, for example, certainly wouldn't.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Let's preview the Friday show a little bit.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this one.
Yeah, we were going to have Mehdi Hasan debating Ben Shapiro. Mehdi agreed. Could not get Ben.
I don't know that we heard back.
And then we went to find somebody else and basically could find nobody who was willing to debate Mehdi.
I was going to say, in fairness, I don't even know that Ben got. We emailed him, but I don't know that he actually even got
Ben,
it. So if he
check your email.
Yes, we'd love to host that. But
well, yeah, he'll come back whenever.
We had a really hard time. Yeah, we had a really hard time putting that together.
Nobody wanted to go toe to toe with Mehdi, which I don't blame them for. I wouldn't argue that the world is round in a debate with Mehdi.
Yeah, that's true. Producer Mac, producer Griffin, put in a lot of hours the last week. You and I were like pinging people on DMs and email, and it was even a week's time, which is like a lifetime in the world of news. It was hard to stitch that one together, but we're still holding out hope that we can get someone to debate Mehdi on the ICC specifically. But this Friday's show, we actually are putting together a reporter, a friend of Ryan's, a reporter who wrote just a fantastic new book on a deep dive into the world of lobbying, the sort of secret, shadowy world of lobbying that has changed a lot in recent years. And that's the point of the book.
Called The Wolves of K Street.
Wolves
so you
of
have
K
until
Street.
Friday to read it.
Yes. Oh, good luck. It's a long book.
Long book.
With a top lobbyist, one of the top lobbyist spenders, I think in 2018, Sam Godoldig, who's been on the show before. This is going to be fantastic. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, this will be fun, and we hope you come out of it like knowing more about lobbying than basically anybody else. Like,
we want to pull the curtain back.
Yeah,
and I don't think any other shows that I can imagine in like elite media spaces would do that, or would get people to be able to come to a place where they felt comfortable having that discussion publicly. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah. So. I guess come back on Friday for that.
Come back on Friday or Thursday night if you're a premium subscriber.
Yeah.
If you're having any troubles, again, you can email support@locals.com and copy breakingpointspremium@gmail.com. That pings producer Griffin, who is here to help. No breakers left behind. The YouTube and Spotify links will be in the episode description and in your daily email. Again, you get the show early, the Friday show early on Thursdays, the full Counterpoint show without any edits, just early to your inbox right away on Wednesdays. So we will see you back here next week.
See you then.
Hey, if you liked that video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to Breaking Points.
If you want to see the rest of Counterpoints, go to breakingpoints.com to become a premium member and get the full uncut show every morning in your inbox and on Spotify.